Wednesday, January the 8th, 2025. Today's video comes at you in the form of coffee chat. I have done the programming for today, so let's talk about what I learned. First things first, we got strength. We continue on down our path of CrossFit Total. And today we have what I consider to be the most difficult of the three. Most definitely everyone's least valuable contributor to your CrossFit Total. It's the strict press. It's the hardest of the three to PR. Why is that? A couple things. Number one, it is my contention that the strict press, because it is the most strict thing that we do, back squats, you can bounce out of the hole. You can learn some techniques that help in the efficiency. Deadlift, everyone's biggest mover, and doesn't require the biggest range of motion in the world. The strict press, however, and by the way, our legs are much stronger than our upper body just by nature. The strict press, super strict, right? We don't allow any hips involved. We don't allow any momentum whatsoever. So it is my contention that it is the one movement where you really need to have all cylinders firing in order to be even in the vicinity of a PR once you get to a certain level. I'm 15 pounds off of my lifetime PR with that movement right now. Not worried about it. Why am I not worried about it? Because most of the overhead movements that we need for performance sake, think of even like handstand push-ups, handstand walking, the push presses that we're going to do in today's workout, jerks overhead, they don't require a super heavy strict press. They just require efficiency and a little bit of strength. Like, you never need to be, I personally don't believe that there is a ton of correlation between your max jerk and your max strict press, because those movements are, and most of the movements we do overhead are dynamic and require and use the rest of your body, not just strict press, or not just your isolated delts and shoulders. So point being, don't worry too much about this, but if you've learned anything from our every minute and a half for 15 minutes, it's that probably it's very helpful to be on task like that, but also that for strict pressing, you're going to need to make smaller jumps, because your capacity is much lower. But also with strict pressing, it tends to be when you're done, you're done. Like when you've failed a rep, it's hard to recover from that, and it's very unlikely that you're going to fail a rep and then come back and hit it again later on. Everybody's different, but I make 5-pound jumps once I start to get into my singles for strict press. I recommend that you do the same, unless you have some strategy that goes against that. Today, we have a couplet for our Metcon, and the couplet is a push and pull, right? So it's really pull-ups, so pull and push is maybe the better way to say it. We have it's 5 rounds, 10 pull-ups, 10 push presses. So, really immediate gratification of this fact that I'm saying your strict press is not an indicator of your performance for overhead movements, because the push press is immediately going to feel so good to be able to use your legs and drive using your hip extension and just sort of finish with your arms overhead. Being strong in the shoulder press is helpful, but it's not the only trait you need in order to be good at a series of push presses. So what we're looking for with the barbell today is something that you can cycle. For all 10, that'd be nice, but more to the point, and with the cap that we're using today, we're going to use a challenging barbell weight where maybe I could eke out a unbroken set of 10, but the last few are difficult for me. And we'll call that no heavier than 115 for the men, 75 for the ladies. Again, we want cycling. We're looking for bigger sets, not necessarily unbroken sets. I think the best way to say it maybe is you might be able to do a set of 10 unbroken one time. And then after that, you might need to break it up in sets of 5. We are going to prioritize loading today over unbrokenness. And if at some point you're doing them as like doubles or singles or something like that, yeah, that's too heavy. So we want sets of like 3 to 5 minimally. Pull-ups. This is the kind of day where It's people who are proficient with gymnastics are going to find that that's the easier part, that they look forward to that part the most. And then people who are really working for pull-ups, that's the bottleneck. That's where they're chipping away. So we have less of an expectation of cycling, quote unquote, or unbrokenness on pull-ups. If you are someone who needs to chip away at a set of 10, then chip away at the set of 10. What we'd like today to do is not have people get capped. The cap is 14 minutes today, so you do need to make choices. Forget what I said about the barbell. If you are someone who needs to go slow and chip away at pull-ups, then you probably shouldn't be going super heavy on the push presses, right? So, and vice versa. If you are someone who can move quickly on the rig, then one of two things is going to happen. Either then you should be up at the no heavier than weights for the barbell if you can do them, or you can do a more advanced version of the gymnastic. What I mean is, I did chest to bar for this. My time was 6:28, everything unbroken. You guys know, maybe if you pay attention to these videos, the way that I tend to work in a WOD like this is that I might rest a little bit extra to make sure that I can go unbroken on the movement. Because I think, for me, when I have to break things up, I tend to take even longer rest than I want. So I'd rather go unbroken if I can. Sometimes that strategy is to my detriment. My time was 6:28. I think that's probably going to be a fast time today. So our cap is way up at 14. We want you to do your most challenging version of everything today, but finish under the cap and make decisions and choices that'll allow you to do that. All right, ramble over.